Hi guys, I'm back with another mini kit Monday layout, share, and kill a kit video for September 2019. I'm going to start right off the bat with the things that I did not use. And funny enough, I didn't use any of the alphas that I chose. I don't know why. I probably just in the moment when I was creating the layouts, none of these came to me, or I wasn't inspired by any of them. And I did decide finally on a couple of the layouts to go into my thickers and to pick out something completely different, and I didn't even use these. So what I'm going to do from now on is pick thickers when I go to make my layout or title it. So those are the thickers that I didn't use. I'm going to try and go quickly. I didn't use any of this or the clear sheets or transparencies. I didn't use the stamp set or these stickers or those by the Hawthorne collection. I didn't end up using the acetate words by the Hawthorne collection, or this wood veneer, this cork word, or this little flag, or either of the two stencils, which is quite fine. I did use other things, and I really was tool heavy this month. As far as paper goes, these were all my paper leftovers. I tried to keep as much of it as I could together. If it was smaller than this type of strip, then I didn't keep it. Either that or I punched out something with it. I tried to use the whole treat bag to this cellophane, and it really does not matter that I didn't finish it. I'll try and use it up in other things. I think I had pulled maybe 3 or 4 of the 6x6, and I ended up with just one, and oh no, 2, because this is from the Good Vibes and this is from the Cute Girl. According to this, I grabbed 5 Heidi Swapp Hawthorne papers, 3 Vicki Boudenfield notes, 2 Cute Girl papers in the 6x6, which I used one of, and then 1 of the Good Vibes, which is this one, and I didn't end up using it, and 2 of the Webster's Pages and New Day paper pad, which I ended up using, and then 1 Tutti Frutti from My Mind's Eye, which is this tangerine one right here. So I ended up using 2 of the 6x8 and 1 of the 6x6 of the smaller paper pads. So these will go back to their respective paper pads. From the scrap paper, I think this was the only one of the bigger pieces that I ended up not using. So I'm really happy that I ended up using the other paper scraps that I did pull out. And I didn't use any of those acetate sheets from Heidi Swapp, but I did end up using 2 of her acetate 4x6 Project Life cards. So I'm really happy in that aspect about things that I did use, even though I did end up going to pick these out from my stash versus what I had in my kit. Like I said, this was one of the leftover papers from Tutti Frutti, or it was the only one that I had picked out. And it says that I picked out 5 from the Hawthorne, but I know that I used Hawthorne papers. Now, I only did use a chunk of this paper, so this will get put back into its paper pad, as well as these other pieces. The only one I'm not going to put back is this one, and I was intending on making a layout with this. I don't know if this would count as a story based, but it isn't so much about, these are gonna be considered my pictures even though it's ephemera, and I was wanting to layer them something like this because they're commemorative tickets, or they were like designer collector series tickets. I have started the story of these tickets, and it ended up being that it wasn't so much about the tickets, but how I felt about my husband during this time. This was a trying time in our family's life, and it has to do with the tickets. It's just not centered around it, but it's because of that I realized that a story was there. So even though we didn't go to the concert, the fact that part of the story starts there, I ended up coming up with I have something to say about that. And so I wanted to use this paper, and I have a story started. I just have to word it. I don't have the right words for it, and it's kind of still raw. So I do want to make a layout about this, and so it's already started. So this kind of, it doesn't really count as a layout for me, but it's already one that's half started or half completed, if you will. And then I don't think I ended up using any of this. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to break apart these stickers and put these with my flat sheet letter stickers, and I'm thinking of doing a project with this. I'm going to put these probably together still because of the color story is all similar. I'm not too sure yet, but it has labels here too. So, but I do think I am gonna cut it apart and maybe put these all together on my sticker binder, and then these would go somewhere separate. So that's this sheet. So this is my first layout. I think I will have layouts for all of my videos except for my last little project that I'll show you. This ends up looking a lot different. Not a lot different, but this is the finished piece, if you will, because I didn't have the journaling at the end of my video. And I also did put finishing touches of chipboard. I think I did show that in the photographs at the end of the video, but not the video itself. I just kept adding more and more stuff. Here's a piece of chipboard. But I did like, at first I wasn't too sure because I wanted, I guess, the pressure of wanting to create something more than it is instead of just being in the moment and enjoying it for what it is. I felt a lot of pressure trying to make this page, and I wanted to make it something really special. And I think what we have to remind ourselves, or what I learned from this, is that we have to remind ourselves that the thing that makes it special is that the page is done, and that somebody will have this in their album and be able to relate to the story, as small as it is, because it's already in your album and it's something that they can tangibly see and feel and touch, and they'll remember that versus something that you haven't created. Doesn't matter. You don't have to wait for the special paper, special ephemera, or anything. As long as you tell the story and it's in your album, that's the important part. I did go back and actually put cardstock on this page because I wanted it to have a little bit more weight, and I really like that I was able to do that. And I did that even way at the end when I thought I was done with this layout as well. So I'm really glad I was able to do that. I think it gives it a nice frame. And one of the things that I used up was this banner for the month, and so I'm really glad about that. And one thing that wasn't in my kit was this chipboard set. This is from Acorn Avenue from Crate Paper, and I ended up putting it in a chipboard binder sheet like Janet at RTS has shown and shared. And so that was fresh on my mind because I had just re-seen one of her videos and I wanted to do the same thing. I was left with some space. This might be going into my next month's kit. So that's something that I didn't use. That's the first one. I really liked it. The second one is this Sew in Love layout, and this one primarily consisted of things in my composition notebook, with the exception, oh look, I did use one of those stickers from this sticker sheet. So I did end up using it. I think at the end, and this isn't in the video, but at the end when I go over my layout, I noticed things that I want to add, or maybe that it's missing, and I knew this one needed the date. And so I went ahead and stamped it on the label, but I smudged it. So I just re-stamped it on a piece of paper and added it over my mistake. I also noticed that this Set Sail Boarding Pass Sprinklers spray ink, when I dropped it down, it was smudging. I laid it out to dry for 24 hours. It didn't dry and it kept smudging. So I wonder if I need to water this down in order for it not to do that, or if this is just no longer good. The only other one that has happened to me with is my Color Shine. So I'm going to try and water these down and then test them later on to see if I can keep them. If not, they're gonna have to go in the trash. The same thing with this. Oh yeah, that's another one. The same thing happened with this Mr. Huey's. It doesn't dry and then it smears as well. So this is from Studio Calico. This is from October Afternoon, right? Yep. And then this is from Heidi Swap. So use your Color Shines, people, because, or your spray inks, because I guess they have a certain amount of shelf life, which I didn't think would happen to inks, but there you go. Let's see here. Another thing that I ended up using, from my kit. I did put my composition notebook in the kit, but I did use several of the brads, and so I'm really happy with that. Every time, anywhere you see the Hello Kitty stickers where I used the brad, so I'm glad that I used up some. And I added some twine, and that's it. I used that scrap paper that I had pulled out for my mini kit. This was a random piece also laying, and I added texture by cutting out the actual little flags on there with a craft knife. Yeah, I used an edge punch to make this like a ticket instead of just a regular rectangle. And I also used a white gel pen to circle some of my stickers and or fussy cut circles. And my title. And foam to add dimension to the layout, further dimension to the layout on these cameras and this sticker and this one. So that's my second layout. My third layout is what I did for Scraptember with Laura Alberts and and Miranda Weber, and also Natalie Bowers. That is her name. And I'm so sorry that I didn't mention you in the video. I did mixed media. I mean, it is mixed media because I did use inks to create this coloring on the cutout, and I did use Distress Oxides for that. I did use the picked raspberry, the peacock feathers, and the cracked pistachio. And then I was also able to use some of my These Things sequins. I also used some really old and damaged photographs. These are my own personal photographs, and these used to live on my refrigerator next to my stove, and they've gotten really damaged. These came pre-digital time. This was a film camera that I used to develop these, and so I don't have any copies of these because I can't find that roll. So I guess that's a lesson to me to try and find my film stuff, and if I can download it digitally and save it somewhere, then I should do that, which is something that I have in mind. I was able to use some of these stickers from the Tutti Frutti collection, which I completely was tickled with myself that I was able to use them, especially because that collection is more beach, fun in the sun, summer, and even though this is, I can't recall when this was in, around what time this was from, I do know that it's hot there, and the mood and feel of it did correlate to the pictures, and so I was able to use them on my layout. I was really happy about mixing this Hey Kid collection from Pink Paisley with Vicki Boutin. One is very distressed and looks like a multimedia piece, which is also why this lends itself really well. The cut file and the fact that I did the ink on it lends itself really well to the paper because it's already like a pre-made mixed media page for you, which is super fun. It takes out all the work out of this lazy person. And I was able to use some of these transparencies from the Hawthorne collection ephemera pack, as you see here in the geotag and the butterfly, and then also ended up using this Project Life card with this piece that was just roaming around on my desk. So I was able to use some of the stuff that I just didn't know what to do with and was too lazy to put back. So I'm really happy with the end result of this layout. The next one is called Our Sweet Date. Here is the thicker set that I did end up using. It is this thicker set called Delight from 2010, and it's like a teal turquoise color, I think. I did use this Heidi Swapp Hawthorne collection paper. It has like a distressed blue stripe, and I did end up using a lot of Vicki Boutin things as well, like this branding strip. This is not an actual branding strip, but it's the part that holds my paper to the paper pad, and I was able to use a lot of stickers from the Vicki Boutin sticker set. If you watch the video, I did explain that I used a lot of clear stickers that have the gold foil or the color, and I ended up also using these circle dot stickers, which are not see-through. A lot of the good times, this flower, these two stickers over here, and a lot of the other elements like these gold butterflies or this colored one here. The only other thing that you don't notice, here's another branding strip, but this one is from the Hawthorne collection right here, and here's where I used that other half of that cellophane bag. I thought it gave it a really cute look. It gives it some type of texture. I think that's why I was able to bring in this purple paper, and I cut out a couple of bits for it so that I can have it peekaboo style. And with that, I just felt like it needed a little bit more, and so I added Distress Oxide ink on these two corners, and then I also put the date in the Distress Oxide ink in the picked raspberry. And then I added one of those Tutti Frutti stickers here because I liked that gold foil and I just wanted to add it. The only thing that wasn't in my kit was this word sweet. It is a die cut, and it's from Die Cuts with the View. It's a paper stack that has just die cuts, and that's the name of the paper pad. And what I did is I ended up putting glossy accents on it to give it dimension, and I like the way that it turns out. This is probably, one of the ones that I had a lot of fun with, but also the one thing that you don't see in the video, I think, is the fact that I added the journaling, and I used my typewriter to do that. Okay, this one is for the collective, and so I ended up using my warehouse box from Pink Fresh Studio. I think on the video I called it Pink Paisley. And I ended up using a 6x6 paper from this collection. I can't recall the name of the collection, but if you do want to know where it's from, it is on this video. The one thing that I did do after the fact was add these gold little stickers. I think these are Teresa Collins, and I don't show this on the video either, I think, where I add the enamel dots onto these plastic confetti snowflakes. But I did end up using this Martha Stewart punch. I don't know what it's called, you guys, and I'm so sorry about that. I didn't label this one. This wasn't in the Pinkfresh Studio warehouse box either, and neither was this small frame. This is from a Maggie Holmes collection. The wood veneer and this collection are two different collections, the gold foiled ones at least, and then these are from my personal stash. Oh, I'm sorry. These are from my personal stash, the ones that don't have any gold foiling. And then the other thing that I used also that it wasn't from the Pinkfresh Studio warehouse box is this edge punch that I used on the border. That is from the Punch Out collections from American Crafts. This was a lot of fun to make. I knew that I just wanted to use the single sheet of pattern paper, and because it is busy, I wanted something to frame it. I think I was all about the framing this month because I wanted to, like, either with ink or with border punches or with another piece of cardstock. I ended up doing that. One thing that I didn't mention in the video, for whatever reason, I said that this didn't have a white border on my photograph, and I'm pretty sure you saw in the video that it did. But I just wanted to say that I did double mat it with a white, and then one of the same 6x6 paper pad that is this collection where the paper comes from. So that is this layout. The last one that I have, I did use my hexagon punches this time, yay! And here is where I used two of those Heidi Swapp, you know what I'm talking about, this clear sheet stuff. Anyway, these were two Project Life cards, and it had this element, and then the rest of the 4x6 card was clear. So I cut this out, and then I cut this out too because it was a 4x6 card, and it was like right alongside the bottom of a 4x6. I did use a stamp set that wasn't in my kit, and it was this Field Notes Vicky Bouton set, and it has all these little crosses and dots, and the circles is right behind this sticker. But this is the Escape set from Field Notes, and I got this at Tuesday Morning in like January. So I ended up using that, and I used my Distress Oxide inks once again, and then I used some of that twine. Here's some of that 6x8 paper that I layered together. And then I did end up using one of those little 2x2 squares for this element right here from Paige Evans. Here's the alphabet that it needed. I had conferred with the Mini Kit Monday group about my page, and they had said that it needed some dimension with the title, and so I added Things I with this transparency word that says love to complete the title for this page. I did a lot of sewing. I did sew the edge, and even after the end of that video or the filming, I went back and added ink all around the page, the peacock feathers. That's what I did. And so I love all the different zigzag type of ways that I did it. I didn't do it all uniform on the hexagons because I wanted to kind of reflect the coloring in his shapes. You know, like when little kids are this age, they don't all color in the lines, and so that's also why I made the stamping. I did second generation stamping. I didn't do it all really well. I even splattered some water on it so it'll get crinkly and wrinkly. And I just, whenever I think of coloring or coloring books, I just think of notebooks, and learning was part of one of his favorite things aside from Curious George and coloring, and so that's why I brought in the notebook edge punch as well. So that was my last layout. I'm glad I was able to use some of this glitter ribbon. I think it brings a lot of attention towards the journaling and the photograph, but I think it also gives it a nice pop. I was able to use a little bit of that, and so I was really glad with the end result with this. And then the last thing I did was this little card, and I did use one of these Project Life cards because I had a lot of stuff left over from this layout. I wanted to do something else, and I hadn't been making any cards, and so I decided to challenge myself to make a card front, and that's what I ended up doing. I used the Project Life card that I cut the hexagons out of. I used some of that Webster's Pages piece that was a remnant that was left over. Some of that cellophane bag was able to make it on here as well. And then here's one of the 2x2 squares by Paige Evans. Also, all of these little elements are dimensional. They're little flowers and hearts, like gems. I had put in my Mini Kit Monday, and I hadn't used any of the dimensional elements, so I ended up putting them on the card. And I also used Distress Oxide inks these in the, or one of them in the picked raspberry to be specific. And then I pulled out another tool because this is a 4x6 card. It was gonna be too, had I left it a 6x6, it would have been this big. And so I cut it down about 3/4 of an inch. And then I wanted to keep it with the corners rounded. And so I pulled out my tool. So yeah, that's all the projects that I did. The only other thing that I did want to mention was the stuff that I did use. So I pulled out the tools. I did use these. I used my brayer this month because I worked on gluing ephemera down in my composition notebook. I did use the notebook edge punch. I was able to use my 3 punches this month, so I'm going to choose something different next month. I did use this, even though technically it wasn't in my mini kit, but I've had this sticker laying around on my desk and I hadn't used it because it had rounded corners, and so I decided that maybe if I changed the look of it, I might be able to bring it onto a page a lot easier. This is from, what is this company? Oh my god, Sassafras Lass. This is from Sassafras Lass. Yep, the Woodland Whimsy, and it was just this in a square form with rounded edges. So technically I did use this tool this month, just not for anything in my mini kit Monday. So I'm gonna set these aside real quick. I did show you that I did use these Tutti Frutti stickers, and I used about 7 of them. So that's not bad. I'm glad I was able to use some. I did use some thickers. I did use a lot of this Vicki Boutin sticker book, which makes me really happy because it does have a lot of stuff. I was able to use up this packet of the banners finally. I did finish this Hello Kitty washi, and I was able to finish a paper tape of this type from Tuesday Morning. So I was happy with the usage of that. I did bring out some dies to make these rosettes, and I'll probably use these more during Christmas as well, but I ended up doing these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I ended up with some scraps, which will probably go in my binder, honestly. Some hexagons. Here's some more hexagons from the Webster's pages and the Project Life. I still have this lying around. I pulled out 3 of those, and so I ended up left with that one. These will go back into the ephemera from each of their collections. I don't think I used many of them, but either way, they were still available to me, and I did go through them quite a bit to try and get them used. So none of this got used. Some of it got used, and I had also pulled out other Project Life cards to use in my embellishments instead in my stash, and that's okay too. So I don't have a problem with putting this stuff back. I don't feel bad about not using it because the stuff that I did use, I did have to pull out to use up, and so am I making sense? And so I'm really satisfied with what I used, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So these will probably stay, the Project Life cards will probably stay in my desk, the ones that I've half used, and then the rest of this ephemera, these are my cleaning cloths for my pictures. I use this with the giant bottle of Undo. Is that what it's called? Undo? I think it's called Undo. For the glue on my photographs. Lifesaver. So these will go back to their respective collections, and then all of my extra stuff, like these little bits and bobs, will go to my sticker binder or ephemera notebook with the multicolor stuff. I didn't really use any of the dimensional embellishments except for the brads and these, which I had a ton of, and now I'm down to like 5 and then little dots. So I'm glad for that. I did use this. I didn't use any of these, and so that's okay too. I did mention that I did use this stamp set, which for me, stamping doesn't occur very naturally, and so that I put in stamping in there when it wasn't even planned was really good. I used 1 more sticker from these enamel words. I have 5 left of these. I used another 4.5 4x6 and then 1 3x4. I still have the bow clip laying around from this. This is gonna go back into the Heidi swap box because I haven't been able to use it, but I do want to get that used up. I was able to use some hemp. I was able to use a tag from here. I had 2 and I used 1. I was able to use several of the ephemera from here. I used 1 of the sticker words from here, sticker phrases, used 1 sticker from here, and then I brought this out. This wasn't in my kit. I brought 1 out to make a card, and then I'm going to end up using another pattern paper to make the envelope myself. So I didn't end up using these inks either. I had them out, but that's okay. They're here. They're not a like consumable product. they still stay in my stash, and so I'm okay with them not being used. But I did use these quite a bit, and so I was very excited about that. I was able to use this one and this one, I believe, but I didn't use these. So maybe next time, or I will keep these in rotation probably, since these are good fall colors, and then just keep them out to keep on using them. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch the other ladies that are in our Mini Kit Monday group: Becky, Tracy, Dolly, Kathy, Leslie, and Shannon. Yes, I tested the Heidi Swap Black Velvet paint one more time just to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. And can you see that? See, it does smear. So this was with nothing in it. I'm going to add water to it now, and I'm going to spray it on the same piece of paper and see if it won't smudge. If anybody else has remedies for that, or if you found that you've already added water to it, if you could leave a comment down below, I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to also check out our Facebook group, our Mini Kit Monday Challenge group. There's a lot of ladies participating, and they get to participate by showing pictures of the mood board and their kit and their Monday layout for each of the weeks, and you can be put in to win a prize that one of the ladies sponsors. So anyways, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment about anything you'd like. I always love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much to the new subscribers and to the ones that have stuck around. I know I go through ebbs and flows with my videos. It's just what I do. I don't do this for a living. I do this for fun, and so sometimes it gets tedious. The most tedious part for me is getting the video up, because the creating part is fun. It's just it takes a lot of work to do these videos, and if you've started making YouTube videos, you know as well. So I am not going to try and edit this with the ums and the ahs and the ands. I've heard some feedback that it's quite all right, because everyone does that. And yeah, so I hope this isn't too long. Come back in October for our Mini Kit Monday kit reveal. We'll see you soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.